Hey guys, Tim here with Two Feather Survival, coming at you today all the way from my front yard. What are we talking about today is our quick tip. Well, it's this plant right here, guys. Digitalis, commonly referred to as foxglove. Stay with me. Alright guys, so why is Digitalis important? It's a very common natural growing plant, and it's more common as what it is here, which my wife picked this plant out for the front of our home for our garden, and it is a beautiful plant. It's got very unique floral pattern design to it. But it was utilized by a man during the Civil War time frame when the North blocked Charleston Harbor and let nothing in. He was a doctor, Francis Porcher. He needed to find plants that were naturally growing in and around the Charleston area to utilize their medicinal properties. Down at MUSC, they actually have a whole garden kind of dedicated just to his research, and you can also go to the library there and see his original field guide and notes. It's fascinating material. I'll try to bring you an upcoming episode on Two Feathers here to show you that garden and show you some of the field notes that he made. The unit of measure that he used for this plant for dosing is something called a dram or a drachm, depending on which medical book you want to look through. To give you an idea how small of a dose this is, it's 1/256th of a pound or 1/16th of 1 ounce. Even then, depending on how strong the plant is, you can still mess this up. So I'm going to classify this plant typically as a poison with some medicinal properties to it. If you get your unit of measurement right, is what the plant was used for is to brew a tea with the leaves. And Dr. Porcher says is what you should look for is the youngest growing leaves seems to have more of an established level of the medicinal properties to it. What they use this for is in the event of an arrhythmic heartbeat, which is an uncontrolled heartbeat. They would give a very small dose of this, which would help kind of stabilize that heartbeat and make it more rhythmic. That way it beats more like it's supposed to beat, which is what you want your heart to do. Without the heart, no good. So they found that it did that, and they also found that in the cases of what was called dropsy, or a large buildup of fluids in the lung, which however way you want to look at that this plant actually, because of the heart properties that it contained, lowered the pressure of the heart and lowered the blood pressure as a whole, which helped move some of those fluids out of the body so the body could then process those fluids out. So two very unique things that this plant actually does. In high doses, or even moderately high doses, this plant will stop hearts. So that's something to also keep in mind. There's another doctor, he was over in Europe, that looked at this plant too. His name was Dr. William Wittering. In 1785, he wrote a lot of research papers on this plant and actually showed some of the different properties that it have. So, although I would classify this as a poison, look into this, do some homework on your own, because a lot of people have these plants growing in their front yards, and it is something that you can find growing out in the wild environments. So it's a good one to know for a couple different reasons. You do your own homework, you decide. I'll show you a few closer shots of the plant and the floral patterns here in just a second. But foxglove, something to definitely do some research on. Alright guys, well, here's the actual leaf structures. This is the medicinal property of the plant. Most of the things, especially Dr. Porcher's writings, which you can actually find on campus at the Medical University of South Carolina. Many folks don't realize that all of his field guides and notebooks are there. They've got a beautiful Dr. Francis Porcher garden as well, which they've got foxglove growing there. But the leaves are what he identified as being medicinal. The smaller the better. It seems that seems to get the higher concentration of the medicinal effects. But remember guys, it's 1 dram. It's a very small unit of measure, and it's something that you can mess up really, really quickly. So, Digitalis, very easily recognized plant because of the flowering spikes up at the top. And it's the leaves that we're actually looking to utilize. All right, guys, well, why else is this important? Why am I actually just out sitting in my front yard? Well, if you saw one of the earlier posts that I did today about the grocery stores in Venezuela, you notice that those stores have pretty much collapsed. Their economy is collapsing. They're now in a crisis mode, I guess you could say. If I had a garden and I had things like wild mints, foxglove, and know how to actually use foxglove, different plants that are out there, different medicinal property plants, if I have those already in and about my landscape and they're kind of hidden, well, then I'm already ahead of the game should some sort of a collapse occur. I'm not saying that these replace medicines of today. We've got very good medicines and very good doctors out there today, but it is something that could get you through in a crisis situation. Not only that, then at your leisure, you're able to come out into that garden area and see these plants in different stages of growth. That's the important part. Now I can learn what young leaves look like versus mature leaves. If it's a mint type base plant, I can use it to make teas and do a lot of different things with that on its own. So it's something that you should definitely consider. All right, guys, well, that's all the time that I have for you today. Hope you've enjoyed today's quick tip video on Digitalis. Remember, plant it in your garden, learn to identify it, know how to utilize it, do your own homework, and do your own research on this one, gang. That's all I got time for today, folks. So keep your knives sharp and your go bags close. Until next time, I'll see you then.